Da 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 da. Pretty goddamn cool music. Enjoying the music lots. Hope you guys enjoyed the interview. Welcome back, guys and girls. We're here again with another video today. Hope you like the new layout. It's a work in progress. I'm not a graphic designer. It's going to take me a while to get my head around it, but I want to try and make the chat a little bit more special. We're going to do some scrolling messages. We're going to have bells. We're going to have whistles. We're going to have all sorts of things making this look more awesome. And you're probably wondering why the screen wasn't moving. I was alt-tabbed and Martyr doesn't like being alt-tabbed. Now, what we're going to be doing with today is going through the rather interesting results from the interview. However, what I'm going to do first is just go through a mission and perhaps answer some questions for you, just have a little bit of a general bit of play, a bit of fun. And when we've got a few people in here, when we're up and rolling, then we can get started with talking through some of those responses. So who are we going to play with today? Should we go with Scorch? I think we'll go with Scorch. He's a higher level. What is up, OLED? What is up, Dewey? What is up, Jonas Solberg? Do we have 3 Germans in here? Do we have all Germans? New sponsor! Welcome, Doc Duel. Oh, flashy sponsor. Much wow. I don't even know what sponsor is. I think it's the YouTube sponsored thing. In which case, thank you very much, my friend. You need some custom emotes, I think, to make you awesome. I mean, you're green now. Wow, you get more monies. That's going to put us a little bit closer to going to Neocore. Hopefully you like the little thing down below. It's not actually going to shift until I change it manually. I've got to set that up. Going to do that. You're probably wondering, what does he mean by trip to Neocore? I mean a trip to Neocore. To go there in the flesh, to do an interview with them, have a look around the studio, document it, get a camera out, talk about some stuff, do some things. It's probably not going to happen until after the game's released. Let's be honest. They're just going to be too busy doing stuff. They're not going to give me that much info. But we will do that. Let's crack on and do a Tarrant mission or so. Then we can get talking about this interview and getting into some of the nitty-gritty details that they gave us. Or rather, the stuff they didn't give us. But there is stuff in there. There is some stuff in there, and there's at least some stuff implied by what they've said, which is interesting. I'll just mention something now. Vehicle combat has been mentioned again. Many of us were wondering if that was even ever going to come into the game. So, of course, it's nice to have a little bit of reassurance there. Now, bear with me a second while the screen pauses and I just do a little bit of clicking about on my other monitors. There we go, clickety-click. Microchips, there we go. What I'm doing is just bringing up the chat questions too. That way I can actually keep a track of everything. So we're going to play a mission first, guys, just a little bit of a warm-up. And then we're going to get talking about the actual interview too. Remember, if you've got some questions as well, fire away. I can at least try and recall a few things. We can have a little chat. If there's some information you didn't get that you wanted, let me know. Please as well, do kind of bear with me in that there were more questions I asked, and quite a lot of them came up against the brick wall of, nah, we can't tell anything about that yet. The one I kept was the retinue one, because I wanted people to realise that I did ask about the retinue feature, but they're just not prepared to give any information on it at the moment, which is sad, which is unfortunate, and some of the questions they did skimp around a little bit of the detail. But this is nothing new to Neocore. They've been very secretive about a lot of their content for a long time, and I mean, it's going to be down to one of two things. Some people will put that down to bad developer communication. Other people will think, well, their marketing strategy has been to let's keep a lot of content for post-release, and maybe they're literally trying to just keep as much as they can for post-release so they can generate a good bit of hype and get players that are already playing the game even more interested. I don't know. Maybe they're hesitant to say too much now because they don't want to sell the game too much. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, we can only guess at these things, but it's interesting either way. What is up, Mac Lee? Who here has had time to watch the interview already? If not, I'll be going through all of the details that we ascertain. I'm not actually going to play Gergo's voice because the crackling unedited it will trigger my my ASMR. I mean, I don't know what microphone he used, but I have a feeling he turned the gain up to potato level there. I mean, they have a good microphone. I don't know. We have to have a little chat with them about that. If they're going to do some live streams, they need to not use whatever microphone that was. Ouch, my ears. So, I tell you what, we've got 17 people in here. We're starting to roll in. Should we get talking a little bit about the game? Should we get talking a little bit about the interview? I think we probably should. So what should we start with? I tell you what, let's start with the first bloody question. So the first thing we needed to ask was, how is the development going? Are we still online for a Q1 release? Remember, Q1 was always there, well, ever since they changed the roadmap the first time. It was, remember, due to be released in 2017 when we first purchased the alpha back in February of 2017. It was going to release in 2017 in the last quarter. Obviously, it's been pushed back to the end of the first quarter here, so a fairly big delay. And apparently, they're still on track for this release. And obviously, first quarter, for those of you that don't like doing maths, means bloody soon. So this is, for some people, exciting, and for others it's going to be terrifying, because many people look at the current game state and they say, this isn't ready to be pushed live. And I would agree with them that the current version of the game is not ready to be pushed live. However, it's just a question of, will their product that they release be different to this? Yes, it will. That goes without saying. And how different will it be? And that is just a case of, we're going to have to wait and see, because we know that this has had no polishing thus far. Not a single piece of polish has been applied to this. No, that's not true. They have made changes and things, but what is up, Loken? What is up, Cora? Nice to see a Ukrainian in here. I know a few Ukrainians. Catherine Winnick is personally my favourite. She's part Ukrainian. She is gorgeous. Talking again about polish, there's been little bits that have been done. Little bits. But the game hasn't been largely bug fixed, and they've freely admitted. So, while some people may be concerned about the Q1 release, I do think that there's opportunity, because A, we know that there's a lot of content in the final release that we don't have now. Although A.5, we don't know what a lot of that content is. We'll cover that more a little bit later, I think. So, yeah. So we're basically going to be divided on this, and I think we all need to agree to be. Some people are going to be petrified. Some people are going to be excited. I'm 65% excited, and of course I'm nervous, because there's so many unknowns basically about this right now. We don't know so much. We know they've changed the Crusader. We know they're changing the Assassin in some form of way. We just don't know how. Let's have a little show of hands in the chat right now. Who's excited and who's bloody nervous about the release of this? Assuming it's going to be in about a month and a half. How do you guys feel? Right, I think we can probably crack on with the next question. Vehicle combat too. Yeah, we're going to talk about that right at the end. Right, let's bug out of this, read the next question. What is up, Marin? Bloody nervous, my friend. I don't blame you. Yeah, hamster, nervous, yep. I think nervous is going to be a fairly sort of unanimous response. I don't even blame you. Right, let's crack on with the next question. So, the first one, many players have been asking about the long-term plan, so I asked for a little bit of a confirmation regarding DLC. Now, obviously, PR reasons here, you don't really want to talk about all of the DLC when you've not released the game yet. Obviously, that is something to take into consideration, and I know that that's why they shied away from talking about in detail their future DLC plan. But let's face it, we do know what the future DLC plan is, because it has been put within a forum post, although obviously they didn't want to go in as much detail right now, but we know the game is due several large expansions over a 2 to 3 year period. We know that there's going to be a season every 3 to 4 sort of months, and we know that there's going to be micro DLCs as we go along that can be sort of purchased with stuff. Are we flickering, OLED? Let's have a little look. Where are we flickering? I'm going to try and watch the stream while playing. This is going to be difficult. I wouldn't expect me to do much fiddling right now, so you may just have to put up with a little bit of flickering. I'm not going to try and edit a stream layout while playing. Right. Tick, tick, tick. Boom. Okay. It looks like the flickering is just for you, OLED, so you're just going to have to man up there. So, DLC plan, we know there is one. They're not going to go into detail now, obviously, as to what that content is. That's going to get them into more problems, but they have at least confirmed that there is a future DLC plan. I really just wanted them to repeat that. So, well, that's that, really. Question number 3. I'm going to have to load up bloody Discord now. Fucking Germans ruining my plans. So, question number 3. I believe we go into the Stormwatchers, the extra regular Space Marine chapter that have been added into their game. Now, I've done my homework. I've tried. There are Storm some things. There are like Storm Templars and Storm something else. There's no Stormwatchers anywhere on the internet. This chapter appears to be brand spanking new for Martyr. Now, this is not the first time that this has been done within the game. Dawn of War did it as well. They created one of the red Chaos Space Marine factions. Can't remember the bloody name. It wasn't Blood Angels. It was something. Perhaps someone in the chat can correct me on this. The reasons for doing so, I think, are fairly self-evident in that you can't really write stories about people that already have loads of stories about them because you're going to end up conflicting a lot. So it's pretty reasonable, but if you're doing something set in a faraway sector, and let's be honest, 40k is more than forgiving of having sort of random Space Marine legions scattered throughout the galaxy. That's well documented within lore that there's, you know, loads of lost Astartes. But at least these guys have a reputation from what they've said. Blood Ravens, thank you for filling me in. I knew it was something blood related. I knew it wasn't Blood Angels, Blood Ravens. Thank you very much. So yeah, it's okay because we know that they're a secretive bunch. They're within the Caligari sector. They're hidden here, and I mean, they've said that the main story is not really about them, but they want to include more lore. I tell you what, I would really like here. I tell you what I'd really like with the Stormwatchers. You know that they've done 3 little books so far. They hired a Hungarian author, actually, to write 3 books as sort of prelogues to the game. It's not actually related in terms of story, but they're fairly good reads. I'd recommend them. They're free. They're in the Black Library. I would recommend them. And I would really like them to put something together for this chapter to give us... to get us in the mindset of these guys, to figure out what it is they do. I just think that would be so good. Now, obviously, Victor's probably busy doing all sorts of stuff and things right now as a narrative designer, but would anyone else like that sort of thing? I think we should probably pressure them a little bit. I wouldn't even mind paying for it. Just something that would supplement the game like that. I think that is fine. I think I would be happy with that. I think that would be pretty damn cool. La da 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 da. But if the guy on our bridge, for example, is a Storm whatever's, yeah. I mean, let's be honest, his voice acting needs some changes, sort of a complete overhaul in some respects. But it would be nice to know a little bit more about them and why they're secretive, and that is. So, moving on from here, and then the next question, the next sort of thing we talk about and go through. Just going to have to run around in circles, get some suppression back while we have a little read. We obviously go through the sort of the two-parter. What's in the game now? What's in the game at release? Now, yet again, they sort of dodged the question as to the secretive features. Obviously, we know that there's going to be 10 parts of the campaign in total. At the moment, there is only 2. So the campaign is going to be much, much larger. Obviously, it's going to have all the voice acting and other things. And they repeat the standard old phrases of there's going to be these certain events and there's going to be quote-unquote other features within the game at launch. Some surprises for us. We don't know what they are. We have no idea. This is yet again one of those unknown quantities where we know at launch there's going to be extra stuff. And to quote Gergo from the interview as well, they're currently working on an extra, I believe he said 4 or 5 new map types. So those map types that were on the roadmap that we're going to get at final relaunch, we're still going to get them. Now, they did mention in the developer letter that one of them is going to be Xeno Imperial Rooftops, I think was one of them, and City Ruin, something like that. I'm not entirely sure on what the others are. None of us really know, but we know that there's going to be a lot more map types within the final product, pretty much double what we have now. Will that be enough to satisfy some people? Probably not, but hopefully with all of the finished lighting settings and such, get the randomizer actually randomizing missions for a change. I think that could be good. That could be good. But again, there is stuff we don't know. He said 4. He did say 4 indeed. I think there is due to be 1 more added before we go live, and then there'll be 4 more added when the game launches. I believe that's what he meant to imply, because that's sort of what the schedule was saying sort of should happen. Anti-aliasing working is of course going to be nice as well. Now, let's have a see what else came out of the interview. So we asked a few big questions too. What's going to be there in release versus the testing phases? Seasons. Yet again, we get the outline of a season, and you can absolutely tell. 200 Fate, not bad. That this spiel about seasons has been rehearsed to death. It's been done 1,000 times, because every single time Gergo says it, every single time Victor says it, it's like they're reading it off of a hymn sheet. It really is very, very consistent, which isn't a bad thing, but basically there wasn't a lot of new content, new things to be said regarding seasons, but there was confirmation at least that we're going to be getting a new enemy faction. We're going to be getting new story content, new priority assignments that will basically follow the story through the sector. There'll be new items, there'll be new gear, there'll be an increase in character level, etc. That's all very nice to see. Taking one step back to the previous question as well, what are they currently working on? Some of the other stuff, obviously this was within the recent developer letter, but there's also stuff going on in terms of changing elite combat, changing character skills, and in particular making melee more dynamic and smooth. And he did say changes to class skills. Now, I don't know how much I should read into that, really. Class skills, I mean, that being the word class would imply that some of the classes are getting skills. I mean, maybe this is just wishful thinking from me, but it is, and well, it currently is my hope that they introduce class-based skills for the Assassin and for the Crusader. I think that's what this game needs. Some interchangeables, but primarily stuff unique to the classes, so they actually feel different. So an Assassin with a bolter rifle is slightly different to a Crusader with a bolter rifle, not just in terms of mitigation. That, I think, not a tank. That, I think, would be nice. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I believe it possible that that may be what he was saying. The truth is, we don't really know. Yet again, another one of those mysteries. Please run the Ogrins over, please. No mention on the decapitation feature either at the moment. That is, of course, one thing currently. Again, we don't really know what's happened to that. We kind of know that it's here, and it's kind of not here. When you shoot stuff, it blows up, but you can't blow off limbs like you could in the trailers, so that's something we sort of need to get to the bottom of. Let's go to this barrel and have a little hug. So, yeah, changing class skills could potentially be changing armor skills, but I don't really think they'll remove the armor feature, because that's currently working quite well on the Psyker. I wouldn't be surprised if the grenade ability changes, but it's almost like they have to add some more abilities into the classes. But at the same time, the armor and grenade kind of is shared across all 3 classes, so I don't think that can change. I really think each weapon needs to have 1 or 2 of its abilities literally just put in the bin. On every weapon we can find an ability that's a little bit potato. If not, we could have the option to change them. But hey, I mean, this is all just wishful thinking. The reality is we don't really know what was meant within that, so we're just going to have to wait and see. Right. Nearly bloody there. Oh, there we go. Good lord, that took forever. So, yes, there's lots of examples with the Crusader. There's lots of examples with the Assassin, to be honest, we could do with in terms of class skills. I mean, it's very, very easy to have the Crusader get some form of tank-based abilities. You could actually start to have an aggro-based system. It's really not a lot to ask for. It's really easy to add a certain passive skill onto an Assassin, or a boost or a steroid skill where the next shot applies, I don't know, a penetration for the next 5 seconds against that target. It's very, very easy, and you can tie that to a target, you can tie that to a class so easily, but, again, I digress. This is all just speculation. We don't know how much of the class skills are being changed. and they're not really ready to commit to actually telling us what's being changed. Now, what else? Armor diversity. Well, we know, unfortunately, from the developer letter that there's going to be some more refined skins in the final product, but for the starting point in the game, there'll be 9 sort of total. Get out of it. 9 total. Oh, not another one. 9 total skins. However, the seasons will add more, so sort of. We have the starting 9, you're going to see more with the first season, which will come with the launch. I don't know how many that will add. I don't really want to be stuck in amongst urchins of doom. Warp-based urchins. Those things really bloody hurt. Ouch. Right, one of my perks is actually to revive from the dead. Good lord. We will carry on with this conversation right after I've dealt with this tiny problem. Take that, you creature from Star Wars. Now, what else did we get? And who else have we got in the chat at the moment? What's up, guys? Nice to see you. Hope you've enjoyed the interview, by the way. Now, in terms of actual stuff to talk about, I mean, the Psyker question didn't really yield anything. I was hoping for some. Well, it turns out that it seems like this was always the intention for the Psyker, to have a sort of slightly modular skill system, because they felt that was better in tune with the lore. So maybe it wasn't the case that they actually caved into audience pressure. Maybe this was actually always the intention and they were happy to have this discrepancy between the classes. If so, that's quite interesting, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see. Let's move on up here. So, did we get anything else? Obviously, the mention of vehicle combat still being worked on. Now, if that's going to come in at release, we don't know. And yet again, this is another one of those features where we have absolutely no idea what it is. Vehicle combat, I'm curious about, and I'm slightly worried about, just in terms of how clunky the tanks are in this game. If it's like you can pilot one of those around one of these maps, I mean, I don't know how much I'll enjoy that. Maybe a bit, but I don't know. Will it just be something tied into the campaign, I wonder? Will it be like so many games do with, you know, you're on a map and all of a sudden, oh, you can get in this vehicle and drive from X to Y on the map and then you're out of the vehicle again. Will it be something like that? You know, is it being overhyped? We just don't know. I wouldn't go as far as saying I'm expecting it to be an entire game mode on its own. I have to say, being realistic, my expectation for it is that there will be a couple of opportunities within the single player where you get to go in a vehicle and hashtag we have vehicle combat. You know, that's how marketing works, but I think it's going to be quite easy to get perhaps a little bit overly excited here. That's going to hurt lots. Right, let's swap weapon. Do our 3 abilities so we can revive when we die next time. Always nice. Use one of those. Click on that. And you know what? The upsetting thing is that that's actually kind of all we got out of it. But hey, as I said before, Neocore have been doing this consistently for basically the past year. Now, I tell you what, that's actually a lie. I was going through Neocore's Twitter today. I was trying to find some pictures to go on the background for this Twitch stream. And I was having a look at their old posts, and you go back to 2015, and there was a lot, and I mean a lot of anything from artwork to... Do I come back to life? Yes, I do. Lovely jubbly. And you're dead. There was loads of artwork. There was loads of sneaky releases. There was loads of stuff coming out. And then it just went silent once the game actually launched. No more concept art. No more a lot of stuff, really. There really was... There's been sort of like radio silence. That being said, there has been communication post-launch. But it's never really been communication past the point of discussing concepts. So, yeah. Now, let's have a look. Vehicle combat will be a Martyr death trap. The truth is, my friend, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure, and no one is. Same with the retinue system. Again, this is one of these other mysteries. They're not prepared to give us any information regarding the retinue system. I did have, obviously, if you've watched the video, you heard me ask them what's going to be in the retinue system, and they're not prepared to tell us. And that's the frustrating thing, we have literally no idea what it is. Absolutely no idea. We don't know if it's a companion which you send on mini missions, as in a... If you played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, you know what I mean. It's basically a guy on your bridge and you say, hey, can you go out and mine me some gold? Click, go mine gold. Comes back in 5 hours, go mine me more gold. It could be something as simple as that. It might be a in-game companion system to take the place of real people if you don't like playing with real people. It is really, really hard to say just because we have no idea. Now, Neocore do and have in the past had a companion system with Katarina, obviously, with Van Helsing, and many people will make the assumption that that's going to happen within Martyr. I'm not going to be swayed by that, maybe. I mean, yes, you can certainly say that they've got a lot of assets in place. You know, they've had the AI in place for a long time. It could happen. But I'm not going to get my hopes up there. Personally, I don't actually think it's that necessary in a game that seems to be more pitched at a community setting. But it could still happen. But what I'm saying is that we just don't know. Same with when I ask in the interview regarding the end game content, what do us players have to look forward to in the end game? Now, we do get a bit of information as to what they're currently working on to polish things up. We know there's going to be more campaign. But one of the other things that us players have to sort of currently mull over, and I think this is going to be a video topic coming up soon, is the game's levelling experience is fairly brief now. It's about 20 hours. And they've said so themselves that it's more fluid than it was, but it's not as fluid as they want it to be. And again, something nice for some of you to hear is that the levelling system's still not finalised, and you know, if they need to make changes, they'll make changes before final release. So if you're having problems, maybe tell them, and maybe they'll change it. I've kind of lost my train of thought here, but life. I'm not sure. That's where we were going with that. We were talking about what we're actually going to be doing for the majority of time. And I know for those of you that have been watching all the streams recently, I've said this a few times, but we just don't know what we're going to be doing for the majority of time in this game. Because every 3 months we're going to get a bit of content that by the looks of it's going to take 15 to 20 hours to complete. And then, hey presto. What are you going to do afterwards? Now, we do know that you are collecting these relic items for something. You're not just collecting relic items for the sake of being a completionist. You're not trying to build an amazing set of items. And also, on that note, there will be new item types within the final game. That we already know. We know there's going to be godlike items which represent the best in slots. We know that there's going to be tough challenges to try and get those, and we know that you're going to try and get those items so you can do the quote-unquote end of sector. And of course we know we're also missing the holy weapons, we know we're missing the demonics, so obviously there's going to be the extra types of weapon. But you are right, my friend, you are right, Hamster, that we still don't have any information on crafting. However, I'm fairly sure I'm allowed to say this, but the reason a lot of stuff wasn't added recently, as in the features that were missing from the Psyker patch that should have been due, let's say the retinue system, let's say the crafting update, the PvP, etc. It's that many of it was nearly ready but not quite. Now, none of this stuff has been ditched, especially the crafting. I mean, it would literally be suicidal of them to ditch the crafting system, because it's just a necessity for a game like this to be able to change stats. If you've got a game where you have random loot, just developers know these days that you have to be able to modify the loot in some way, otherwise the chances of getting something without all stats that you actually want are infinitesimally small. So crafting will happen, and I'm sure it will happen pre-release, although they've obviously not said that to me 100%, but honestly, I would be amazed if it doesn't, because that is one of those things that is helpful to have people test and give feedback on. To be honest, that could be said for the majority of content. It's always useful to have people test and give feedback on, but I see no reason why they would wait till after release when they've already said it should be here post-release, but I don't know. The truth is we'll have to wait, but as far as I know, and we have asked them as well, has any content been pushed back? And as far as we're aware, the only thing that has been pushed till after the game's release is probably the Fortress system. Aside from that, then that's it. Right. You're no fan of pets, or should you say pests? I kind of agree with you, my friend, that I'm not a big fan of... I mean, we've all done the odd escort mission. We all know how that goes. I don't like having AI within missions because... Okay, yes, the occasional Imperial Guard is kind of handy, but I never even liked taking companions in Diablo 3 when they were sort of actually sometimes useful just because of a couple of broken items to do really hard content. They're just not that useful. I mean, yes, Van Helsing's Katarina was fairly good, and the fact that she took part in so much of the dialogue and she had sort of a really cute Russian, Transylvanian, whatever accent it was, you know, she was a really cool feature, but do I want that from this game? Not at all. Not really. If they add it, fair enough. I'm not going to complain about it, but it's not high up on my wish list. Well, in truth, in terms of the crafting system, if you want to know what it includes, all you've got to do is look at the tech tree, because it all says what it's going to do right there. We know what the crafting system's going to be. We know that there's going to be certain items that you can use to boost the effects. We know that you're going to be able to swap out and basically exchange the stats, the modifications. So if you've got plus range damage, you're going to be able to swap that for something else. That's pretty much it. But you'll also have the ability to swap out the other item effects, etc. But if you go in that crafting tooltip and you hover over there, you can pretty much see what you're going to be able to do, which is basically what any ARPG can do. You can swap one stat for another, you can boost certain stats via applying items, etc, etc. In what sense would you say the crafting is flawed, my friend? In what sense? I mean, I would accept with you that the purple timers are currently an issue because they're far too long for how long it takes to actually level in the game. But I think otherwise I'm fairly happy with the crafting. That being said, the timers are a little bit of an issue. What angle are we coming at here? And I just like to know what other people think and how they think, because sometimes that helps me broaden my horizons. Said there are good points being made in the forums. I have to say, even the ones that I disagree with are sometimes right. And I have my views, and sometimes other people's views. I actually sway to their... To give you an example, not too long ago, someone was saying, here is an EA of communication done right. And I have to say, I looked at the game, and yeah, the communication was a very good standard. You always had GIFs, you had loads of images, you had loads of explanations as to what was happening and why. And, I mean... I do see that there is a disadvantage to it too, and ultimately it is the developer's choice how much they want to, how much they actually want to do. But I don't know. It is nice when, as a consumer, you actually have a clue what's being made for the game. I believe that Neocore would save themselves a lot of headaches by telling people what they're doing, why they're doing, and what's actually coming before it comes. But again, I do kind of respect the marketing choice of not wanting to overly promote or even commit to things that may not necessarily be doable. Yeah, crafting schematics don't necessarily drop too often. Unique items are being added, my friend. I mean, the purple recipes are just a pre-allocated item effect. Yeah, I would agree with you in terms of the whole right-clicking, the significant quantities of stuff within an item is a little bit tedious, but if you unlock the advanced crafting, you can kind of see the purpose for it, because then it turns into a case of it's actually quite an advanced system of whatever stuff you put into the craft determines the outcome. So although you have a component slot, you might have 5 different components you can put in that. Once you've unlocked the advanced crafting, of course. And then that may well make people change their mind. But I do admit, when you've got low-level, low-tier stuff, like when you're crafting a green item, you don't really want to bother too much about shoving loads of advanced materials in there. It's kind of frustrating to have to do that. Not being able to craft multiples of an item at the same time is also a bit frustrating, because if I want to craft 10 signums, it's quite repetitive, isn't it? I think we can all agree on that. So in that respect, my friend, I do agree with you that we do have some issues with the crafting. Maybe it's time that we do an up-to-date video, and I'll get some of your thoughts out there too, because I think maybe. I tell you what, we'll wait this week. We'll see what the roadmap says, because let's face it, they've said the new roadmap is coming very, very soon. That's going to hopefully tell us what's coming out February and what's coming out March. And then we can use that to see when the crafting's coming, and then we can basically have a little chat with them about what's currently balked with their crafting system, because it's still a little bit balked. What is up, Alien? Crafting section, yeah, quality of life changes for the crafting. That's the best thing to describe it as, I think. Quality of life changes indeed. Let me just see if there's any other information we did get out of the interview, and we'll see if there's anything else I can throw in. But you know what? I think we've actually exhausted quite a lot of what they said. Let's have a little look. Were there any other bits of information they could leak? Well, no, not really. They just said thank you for the survey results. It's nice to see the post from them about the survey results and what they're doing to change the game in accordance with the survey results. That's of course nice, but I mean, really, that's sort of, you would expect them to say that. That's just sort of a given. You did a survey, so this is what you said. This is what we're going to do to make you happy. If you weren't going to say that, then why bother doing the survey in the first place? So that's sort of standard response. But still nice to see, I guess. Still nice to see. Let's sell some stuff. We're slowly building up our relics here. Slowly. Now, I mean, for me, the next couple months are just going to tell a lot. The class changes, what they do, that's going to make or break it for a lot of people. But also, I think we could maybe start applying a little bit of pressure to them about some of these questions that still just don't have answers. And there's so many. There's so many things. What is the retinue system? Okay, granted, that might even be with us in 2 weeks' time in early February. But there are so many questions that I've got about stuff, that I've got more questions now than I have before, because I now realise how close we are to release, and yet how much stuff we don't actually know. Does it worry me? Yes. Yes, it worries me a lot. Could it be amazing? Maybe. Who knows? Well, the thing is, we just don't know. But yes, you're right. The new roadmap will give us some info, and I tell you what we need to do when they release a new roadmap is we need to pressure them for a new live stream from the developers. The difficulty is when you do an interview that's not face-to-face is you can't ask follow-up or clarification questions. Even if 90% of the time they tell you what they can't tell you, they do invariably end up telling you more than they should in a face-to-face. Because in a pre-allocated, they can just sort of say, now we need to ditch that question for PR reasons. Or we need to ditch that question because it's still under NDA. But when you're asking them in question, they have to say something. And if they say, oh, sorry, it's NDA too much, then, they normally will say a phrase to at least make it sound a little bit more palatable. And the dev streams in the past have hinted at future content a little bit more successfully than putting forum posts, for example. So I'm very, very hopeful with the new roadmap we're going to see a little bit of intel coming out. If not, we really, I think, should be pressuring them a little bit to get some of these questions asked, to get some of these thoughts out in the open. But there you go. And I tell you, what's a popular view in the forums at the moment, I'm seeing quite a lot, we'll have a little bit of an open debate now, is a lot of folk saying that the game needs to be delayed by a year. Now, this is not me saying that they're necessarily incorrect. I think it's unreasonable to say that, given how it's already been delayed. A year for an indie company, it's already been in development 3 years. So to suddenly add 25% onto your development cost, I mean, staff time is the majority of development cost. Maybe it would end up being like 20%. But basically, that's a massive sum of money. That has to be weighed up against how much they're going to make with sales, which is tough. What's the best DPS class at the moment? I mean, it depends on your playstyle. It depends on your playstyle and what you want to do. And it depends if you're doing group play or single play. I think the Assassin is very, very good. I think the Psyker is slightly better. The Psyker being better is mainly for a couple of abilities, and mainly the fire build, because you've just got options for mitigation as well as doing lots of damage. That being said, the Assassin does have the ability to dodge more damage and stay alive a little bit more consistently. And I do like some of the sniper rifles, they are very good. But the thing is the Crusader and the Crusader and the Assassin are only as good as the weapon you equip. And so you basically just got to say, what's better, the Psyker or the bolt gun? What's better, the Psyker or the Exodus rifle, if you know what I mean? You're really pitching the class up against weapons, because the Psyker class has its own unique stuff. The other classes, yeah, okay, some of them have unique weapons, but you're really just comparing builds at that point. Am I making sense? I hope I'm making some sense here. So the question is, are there any weapons that compare to the Psyker class? And I think the answer is yes, but they're probably still not as good, because in all of those situations there's going to be some things on that weapon that you don't necessarily want. Let's take an example. The standard sniper rifle, okay? It's very good because it can apply a dot. Okay, the dot doesn't do a lot of damage, let's be fair, but then you get the bonus of being able to apply extra damage to dot enemies, and the fact that the enemy's bleeding means that you can also apply some extra debuffs to the enemy because of that. Very nice. It's got the right mouse button, which is an AoE on a very, 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 very small cooldown, which is nice. Very, very good for clearing, and it does moderate damage. And then you've got the aim shot intermittently for damage spikes that applies a vulnerability, I believe, and then you've got the fourth ability, which is fire and retreat. So it's all very nice and good, but nowhere in there is a buff that makes you live for longer, and nowhere in there is a buff that makes you deal more damage for a small period of time. You've got to get that from your... I mean, let's face it, digi weapons is not that good. It's a 10% bonus to crits. Yes to all of your abilities for a small period of time, emphasis on small period of time, but the Psyker can have 3 masteries on his skills, and that's where I kind of think the Psyker gets a massive advantage, because 10%, and that's only one of the 3 masteries, you know? There's just room to really abuse. Like, I can pick any ability and make it piercing, I can pick any ability and make it do vulnerability. I do think the Psyker is the best class. It's got the most maneuverability too. I don't think any other weapon comes close, because you've just got the ability with whatever build you're making with the Psyker to take whatever's redundant and chuck it out of the build. Right. Chapter Master Jones, you only just got in, my friend. We're pretty much done talking about the interview. I hope you've had time to watch the video. If not, you know, you can always check it out afterwards. But we've basically been talking through today what we learnt from the video, which, let's be honest, was not a huge amount. Let's be honest here. Guys, I'm not going to be offended if any... Was anyone else sort of a little bit like... Oh, I'm not going to say the word disappointed, because it was nice. But was anyone else expecting some really spicy stuff? Let's have a see what you all think. And we got some information. We got clarification in a lot of points. We've got clarification on a lot of things. We know what's being made. We know what's coming. We know certain things are still coming. We know the vehicle combat's not been abandoned. We know a few things. But, you know, let's face it, at the same time, we all need to be realistic. Nowhere ever has Neocore given us huge spicy content bombs of information. They've never said, here is an amazing new feature that's going to be with you next month, have a look at a load of GIFs and images of it. That's just never happened, and it's not going to start happening now. So if you're expecting stuff like that, it's not going to happen. But what I do think will be useful once the game is completely finished, well, Warhammer Fest is coming at us fairly soon. I believe it's March or April. I think it's April, in fact. The game will be launched by then. I'm fairly sure, because I think it's April. And that's going to be a good time for me to go to Warhammer Fest and try and do an in-person interview. actually try and get some information face to face from them again. Oh, time to get out of here. Hopefully at that point we can squeeze a little bit more, because I do think after the game is released, maybe there will be a little bit more forthcoming with giving us some concept art for things like the future factions in terms of what's coming next and, you know, things like that. That's definitely something I would like to see them going back to post-release, is giving us bits of concept art, giving us little sneak peeks, giving us, you know, teasers again. Everything now seems so under wraps, and I can only assume it's all down to their marketing strategy of not wanting to self-promote too much too early, perhaps not wanting to overhype the game. I mean, their marketing spiel is fairly sort of, it's sugarcoating a lot of stuff, describing certain things as sort of, let's say, open world sandbox, as an example. Many people have already taken a few issues with their choice of terms there. Well, easy. But I'm hopeful that after the game is pushed that they do a U-turn on this and start going, hey guys, look at our amazing game, here's all this stuff. Is that going to happen? Nah, it's kind of hard to say. Maybe not. And dead. I love that ability. Right, all this just to get to one rebel sergeant. Right. The thing is, Hamster, you're kind of right there. I mean, everyone is working their arse off, and I'm even like their community manager, Megapool, for example. None of them just sit on their arse all day, sort of ready to answer emails. Even Gergo, who is sort of the PR manager, he's there as a tester as well. So none of them are just sort of sat around saying, oh, is there anything I should do today? Yeah, maybe we should make GIFs all day. They're busy people. They're busy people. It's been hard enough to try and get this bloody interview from them. But I do think it's not necessarily a case of them being busy. I think it's actually a managerial choice for them to withhold so much. Because to explain to you why I believe so is, say when I try and get these interview questions done, it isn't a case of me saying, oh, hey, Mr. PR, can I ask you these questions? It's a case of saying, hey, are we allowed to talk about these topics? And they say, okay, we're going to need to clear that with management as to what we can talk about. It seems to be that it's just their sort of current culture, that is how they've been told to go about it. Now, I would presume, and I can only really presume, that this choice has been made with a view to basically not overhype, not over-promote, but yet still gain some sort of traction and not make promises that may not be able to be kept. I think they're playing it very, very safe and cautious, not trying to attract anything more than the most sort of die-hard 40k fans right now. Although that being said, if I understand things correctly, and I may have this wrong, but a friend of mine was saying that you can, if you pick up the White Dwarf for February, you can get a code in there that's going to allow you to play Martyr, the first 3 missions, for free. I'd really like some clarification on that. I have not had it confirmed anywhere, but if that is the case, then, you know, they're pushing themselves. That's promotion right there. And if anyone's wanting to get a player involved, I mean, yeah, you've got to buy a White Dwarf, which is £5. If you buy the standalone, or try and get the code from someone else. This is not going to go down too well. Okay, that's one of my things used. Let's get out of there. But, I mean, that's some big promotion there, and that's pre-launch as well. So that's kind of ballsy. I'm kind of surprised that they've not opted to do that after the launch, but maybe that was something that was paid for long in advance. It's kind of hard to say. But I am surprised they're not doing it when, like, 1 month later the game is due to be launched and a load of content added. But then again, it's only the first 3 missions, so either way it's only really a teaser. Okay, let's get out of here. Bye, guys. Right, we're just going to go and get some suppression back, because it's no fun fighting an Ogryn when you don't have any suppression. Can I hug anything over here? Do we have any cover? Any cover? Can I get some dust? There we go. I'm going to hug this. Nope. Is there actually no cover? Nope. Okay, never mind. We don't need cover now. We can just smush. Asvagar, nice to see you. Nice to see you, my friend. Time zone related time of the day here, people. What is up? Nice to see you, my friend. Let's make him go pop. There we go. Of course, you're probably wondering why some of my abilities don't have animations. They've not been completed yet. And I'll tell you what I'm also looking forward to that I should have asked. I'll tell you one question I should have asked is the missing tree from the Psyker, because some of you may have mentioned or some of you may have realised when the Psyker was first added, there was another tree called Telekinesis, and it just disappeared in a hotfix afterwards. What's happened to it? Has it been postponed to be added with the season? Has it just been changed because it had some game-breaking bugs? Has it been removed permanently? We just don't know. And will the Psyker just be getting new weapons for each patch? I'd kind of like to see the extra trees being added. Maybe that's a little bit greedy. Maybe it's a little bit greedy. What is up, Baron, my friend? Nice to see you. Let me know what you guys are thinking of the Steam sort of overlay type thing system that we got going on here. Now, granted, I'm not a graphics designer, guys. I've been throwing this together for the last 20 minutes before I started streaming. What do you think? I mean, do you just prefer to see everything at full screen? I mean, for people watching the replay afterwards, I like the idea of having the chat here, and I try putting it over the actual game, and everything on the screen is necessary, because you fight stuff near the edge of the screen far too often in this game. Far more than a lot of other ARPGs, you end up fighting stuff in the distance. Bye! I wonder sometimes if that wind-up charge is a little bit too slow, you know? It's pretty slow. I would love an audio sound for this. And I'll tell you one thing I'm also excited about is the final soundtrack, because the last audio track, I think we can all be pretty excited about that, because the latest track was pretty darn good. For me anyway, it was finally on par with sort of what one would expect of a 40k title these days, and I'm hopeful that there's going to be a few more tracks up to this standard. I completely agree with some of you that some of the tracks up till now have not been, you know, they've not been great. They've been alright, sort of like the equivalent of 40k elevator music in some cases. It's alright to listen to, it's not too bad, it's not too good either though. Easy does it, easy does it. I'd quite like to, I'm not even going to get a frickin', oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay, so my inoculator didn't reset because my health didn't go down low enough, so we're going to have to run away a little bit. Hashtag strategy. Right. Telekinesis could be deadly. I mean, from what I remember of telekinesis, because I managed to play around with it for all of about an hour, is that it was a bit more buff related, but also had some damage related. I think it was a bit of a mix. I seem to remember one of them just made you move faster. Can't remember exactly though. Does anyone else remember any of the telekinesis stuff? I mean, let's be honest, what is telekinesis? It's moving stuff with your mind. So, you know, like cock push-ups and stuff like that. That's telekinesis, Kyle. That's a distinct possibility. Right. I tell you what I would have really liked. I would have really liked demonology. Why? Because I'm a heretic, that's why. But let's be honest, I think we would all like a little bit of demonology, have a little familiar, you know? I'm sure that there are some people in the chat here that would really, really be down for a little bit of demonology. Summon a Slaneshi companion? I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't, let's be honest. I mean, I don't even care if it's heretical. Having a familiar is pretty darn cool. I can't even remember what the other things are. I know there was about 12 different schools of psychic ability within the Dark Heresy series. Now, I can't remember what they are. I might pull out the rulebook and sort of do some speculation, but I did do a psychic video on just that many, many moons ago. I mean, we're probably going back like 9 months. You know what, my friend? I haven't actually listened to a lot of the audio within Armada, Battlefleet Gothic, so I might do a little bit of YouTubing and have a little look up on that, because I do like a good RTS, and I'm excited to see they're making another one. Very, very hype. Please, can I get my inoculator cooldown back? There we go. Smush and smush and smush. There we go. So let's make him go pop. Smush the veteran in one hit. Lovely jubbly. Oh, now it's getting a bit late, isn't it, guys? Don't worry, we're going to keep cracking on for a little while longer. We'll play through a couple more missions. If you guys have got questions, if you want to ask stuff, this is that time where we just sort of chill out, have a little talk. That's the sort of time to do. Vehicle combat. What do people expect for vehicle combat? Is it just me that's a little bit paranoid? And I think it's just going to be the odd campaign mission where you can go from A to B on a vehicle and maybe kill a boss in a vehicle. I don't see how their combat system is really suited to that. Ian, that is a very interesting one. That is very interesting. Now, I'm not sure. The truth is, I'm not sure. It's a really good question because a lot of people... Well, let's put it this way. They're going to do the radical Puritan system, which basically means you can be an Inquisitor by doing things by the book or doing things by any means necessary, however borderline heretical you are. But either way, you're going to be serving the Emperor. I think the only danger is, and the only reason I think that probably won't happen, is if you create something like that, then you're basically having to create twice the amount of story, twice the amount of audio acting, because then you need a good storyline and a bad, you need a good storyline and an evil storyline as such. It's far easier to have one single storyline and have various points in which you make morality-based choices to determine if you're good or bad. I think that's far more, let's say, content efficient, but there are ways that you can do it in quite a clever way. To be honest, I don't expect we will ever be sort of fully chaotic, but maybe there'll be certain morality choices that make you feel like you could be, if you know what I mean. Take, for example, the Telltale games of The Walking Dead. When you play the game, you actually feel like, when you make a decision in that, and this is really cleverly done, you feel like that there were two possible outcomes. But most of the time, and if you're like me, and you've played the game twice, you actually realise the outcome is the same irregardless, but it gives you the illusion that there is multiple different outcomes. And that sort of is the advantage and disadvantage of that game type, to be honest. There's a really good video on extra credits on this. But Martyr could do something similar where, you think, oh, I'm good or I'm evil, and the trouble is in a multiplayer game is people will tell each other what the outcome is, and if you find out that it's all the same, people will probably complain. But Mr. Sticky Mouse in the house, I haven't seen you in a long time. How are things going in London Town, me Cockney brother? Right, rocking. But I would like to see things from the other side as such. But the thing is this game's all about taking one storyline and propelling it forwards. Now, obviously, you can have sort of diverging paths. You can have some sort of bifurcating storylines as such. But the whole player base has got to be playing one storyline. So whatever you create, there's got to be something where everyone is happy continuing with it. And if you suddenly go to being heretical, you're then making a decision for players. Some people just won't want to be heretical and some will. It's a tough one, really. It is a tough one. But I do think it would be good for the people that do. I'm just trying to say that I don't expect that it'll actually happen. Likewise with, a very popular one on the forums. Let's be honest, can I be a Grey Knight? When can I be a Grey Knight? When are they introducing Grey Knights? Where are the Grey Knights? Why aren't I a Grey Knight? I woke up this morning, saw a Grey Knight outside my window. It's just Grey Knight this, Grey Knight that. It's clearly, a lot of people out there have a real freaking boner for Grey Knights, which is fine. But I don't think that's ever going to happen either. Because the thing is the story revolves around you being the Inquisitor, and some people don't believe that, but Death Cult assassins can be Inquisitors, contrary to common belief. Imperial Psychers, Primaris Psychers in particular, can be Inquisitors, contrary to common belief. Now, the thing is, let's just go into a little bit of detail here. You will see a lot of people that say that a Death Cult assassin cannot be a Inquisitor because they're a member of a Death Cult. what people don't realise is there are different schools of death cults. It's not like being, there's not one type of death cult. There are many, and if it's a bit like the Imperial temples, put it this way. There's about 3 or 4 different schools of death cult assassin, one of which is the stereotype. Really bad person, likes drinking blood, exchanging bodily fluids in, rather unhygienic orders, and, all that type of really kinky murder stuff. And then you've got the other type that's actually praise the Emperor, worship the Emperor via the art of death. Think of them a bit more like maybe witch elves. They're not entirely freaking crazy, they're just a little bit kinky. That's more their way, and those ones, that's kind of what we are. And I would actually really like them to go into a little bit of detail regarding that, to explain, we're not actually a bloodlusting sort of crazy fanatic. We're just someone that is particularly well trained in the arts of cutting people to pieces. We, maybe we get a few kicks out of it, that's fine. As long as it's just a few kicks, not too many, otherwise that's, heretical. There you go. There you go. Exactly, my friend. Exactly. The Ordo Progenium, the Scholar Progenium, the place that basically trains bloody Inquisitors. They take on Crusaders. They take on Death Cult members. Some Death Cult members even go to the goddamn, some of them even go into the Assassinorum, the official Imperial Temple places. There you go. No, Jan, a Death Cult assassin and an assassin are not the same thing. An Imperial assassin and a Death Cult assassin are indeed 2 different things. Completely different things, because obviously one of them is trained within the Officio Assassinorum, whatever you call it. I'm really getting my neck beard out today, aren't I? And a Death Cult assassin is not. However, Death Cult assassins can be trained within those temples at Inquisitors' requests, which is something listed within the books at least. Well, if the main protagonists were Space Marines, I believe, my friend, the reason they went for Inquisitors, and the reason I like the decision, are Inquisitors are free-thinking, free-acting agents, and you can kind of do the same with a Space Marine. Kind of. But in terms of a long, progressive story where you feel like you have a sense of autonomy, an Inquisitor, I feel, is a really the better choice. I really don't want to do a frickin' purge. Basically because you just have more autonomy as an Inquisitor. You have the ability to say, we're going to do Exterminatus, or we're going to do, a friendly little slap and tickle. You have that choice. A Space Marine is far more influenced by dogma, and I believe that is their strategy for picking an Inquisitor to go through this game, and I like it personally. I do think Space Marines would be quote-unquote cooler, but Inquisitors have that RPG vibe, which I think, like a game like Space Marine was fine because that was more action orientated, and you throw a man into a situation and then it's his tale of trying to survive. And I'm not saying they couldn't have done it with a Space Marine as the main sort of protagonist, but I'm also quite happy that they didn't, because it also means that you don't have to have, or you can have a very, very flexible class system. If you look at a traditional top-down ARPG, you've got your tanks, you've got your rogues, you have your mages, and that's exactly what we've got here. It's kind of difficult to make that kind of class system out of just Space Marines, I mean, basically everything's a little bit tanky and you've got different weapons that do different things, but in terms of playstyles, you should never really have a squishy character. A glass cannon Space Marine just doesn't exist. So I think that's why they went down this route. But I do agree with you that I think it's possible they could have done it with Space Marines. I just think they went with the idea that would give them more artistic freedom. And in terms of narrative content, you can do a bit more, I believe, in terms of wild and wacky decision making. you can sort of say, I don't care if this is actually the orders, I'm going to go off and do this because this is for the greater good of the Empire. Whereas an Astartes doesn't really have the autonomy to do certain things. But there you go. Oh, let's heal up and run away. Right. We got a little talk about Ordos. Yeah, the Ordos. You talked about the Ordos. I mean, it is interesting to see if we will see mention of the Ordo Majoris within this. I mean, right now we're kind of doing the Audio Malleus work. Well, we're fighting demons, so that's kind of more theirs. Ordo Hereticus, well, maybe could sort of make an appearance. Because, and I'll tell you why, there was a little comment that Gergo snuck in the interview where he said, we're going to find out about the Martyr and why various inquisitorial sects, I'm sure this is what he said, S-E-C-T-S, by the way, there's no X in there, why they are so determined to get a hold. So I think he may have let slip that there are going to be some quote-unquote bad guy inquisitors within the game. Maybe not. Maybe it was just a slip of the tongue. Maybe we're reading into things a little bit too much again. But that's something to maybe think about. We may be seeing other inquisitors in this game in terms of the actual narrative. Could be, maybe not. I have had a look at the cast list. Couldn't find anything listed. They have actually had their cast list listed on IMDb for some time, so I've been checking out that. Fun little fact for you, by the way. Fun little fact, the lady who plays the assassin, if you've seen the music video of I Wasn't Expecting That, I can't remember the name of the bloody artist, the song is not really my cup of tea. It's all too, you know. She's in that video, she plays the daughter. There you go. Facts and science and things. It goes to show what a good bit of internet research can come up with these days. What is up, Zolas, my friends? Radical going Puritan. Seeing the way of the light. I could see it happening. I wonder what the portion of the player base is going to... Yeah, it's not K-pop. It's not K-pop, so I'm not interested. I wonder what portion of the player base is actually going to be radical versus Puritan, because I have a feeling that we're probably going to see something like a 70% radical. I mean, am I wrong here? Because I kind of get the feeling that being the bad guy is inherently just the more popular choice within many games these days. I mean, I might be wrong. Maybe the 40k crowd actually sort of, have a real thing for being the token good guy. Do it by the book, in the name of the Emperor, graphical artifacts and such. Let's, I think I'm going to sidestep this. Because there is a lot of stuff going on right there. I'll tell you what we could do. We can walk around here. We can walk over here. And we can smush it in one hit. Let's smush it in one hit. We're going to do number 3, 70% extra damage, and we're going to walk up, and we're going to go boop, and then we're going to run away. I'm just going to go ahead and draw Kermit the Frog. There we go. Right. Now, it's also worth mentioning that Gergo did confirm, at least, that they're going to be bringing in the other Chaos Gods, obviously following the game's release. As well as, and not to mention, the various Xeno races. Let's see if we can kill it without the 70% bonus. Not quite. Out, finish. Tense. Thunderbird, my friend, my favourite Czech. How you doing these days? Haven't seen you in a little while. Nice to see you again. We're currently just steamrolling through some missions, talking about the game, trying to answer some questions as we go. Struggling a little bit to keep up with all of this chatting here, which is really awesome to see. Really digging it. I love watching people talking about the game. It's good. I'm really hoping that... Yo, what's up, Ease? You look like a new name, my friend. Welcome. I hope you enjoy the content. I really like just watching people talk about 40k, and I'm kind of hoping that these streams are going to be a good place for people to do that. Have a little chat about it, be cool to each other, be nice to each other, have a little talk about 40k, the lore, the stuff that, gets you off, the stuff that's not very interesting, the stuff, etc. Love it. Right, you're not a new name. I carried you in a game 2 months ago. My friend, I've been carrying Germans so much the last month, I forget who I've carried and who I haven't. But, it's nice to see you again. Your name does look familiar, actually, from the in-game. I remember. Three-lettered names are the names for me. Right, let's have a look here. We'll do... everything is bloody... There we go. Chaos Legion. Much, much better than Rebel Guard. Now, I tell you what we're going to do as well. And I've not been doing this reliably yet, but I'm going to, as of right now. After this stream, all of my streams are going to be available via the Patreon. Now, hang on. They're going to be completely free. You don't have to do anything to watch them. All you have to do is go on to the Patreon to watch them. You won't have to be signed up at all. Completely no paywall. You can just watch any of the streams, because I want people to be able to watch them, but I don't want to spam the YouTube channel too much, because I've done it for a while and it just makes me look like a lazy video maker. I want to actually still make content, because I kind of feel that the streams are really, really good for people that want to see more stuff about the game, but I kind of think as well that it detracts a little bit from the more informative videos. I think some people are switching off and some people are getting more into it, and I just think it would be nicer to have a more comprehensive archive, especially if I'm doing a whole week of streaming, and we're going to shove it all over there. So, I mean, it's down in the description, you'll be able to find it. And yes, I'm going to be honest, partly, yes, it will divert more traffic to it. If anyone does want to contribute, absolutely fine by me, I'm not going to complain. It's going to hopefully help me to go see Neocore sometime soon. However, it's completely free. Completely free. I don't want people to watch or have to pay to watch a stream of something I've done. I'd like people to just enjoy them. And, you know, hopefully it's of some interest, listening to someone ramble about the game. Now, the plan is we will do some specific build guide sessions, you know, we'll do, like, stream workshops. I like how that sounds. Does anyone like that? Stream workshop. I really like that. I can't even copyright it, but it sounds good. We'll do stuff on builds, we'll do stuff on all sorts. Class mechanics, strategies for melee, you name it really, you name it. Now, I'm not a pro player, but I may be able to help some people out a little bit with build ideas. So we'll do some specific workshop saves. If one day we're going to go through snipers, we can do a whole sort of a 2-hour stream on sniper builds, all of that type of stuff. YouTube streams sometimes do better in terms of algorithm priority and sometimes do worse than a video. It's confusing. I mean, from a statistical point of view, it's good for getting your watch time up because people on average watch them for longer. We had amazing retention the other day where I had like just over 100 viewers, but nearly just under or just over a third of them stuck with it for a hell of a long time, which is unusual for a stream. And so in some respects it helps a little bit for the analytics, but the algorithm for YouTube is a complicated creature. And I'm not entirely sure at the moment. I have seen a general dip in total viewer quantity, but then I haven't been making as many guides and informative stuff, which is normally what attracts more people. And as well, let's be honest, the game has not got a massive player base active at the moment. We've got like 400 people consistently playing. It's not a huge amount. It's not a huge amount. Post-release, who wants to have a guess? Who wants to have a guess? I'm going to say 5,000 people within the first month. Peak player base, 5,000. Maybe that'll happen, maybe not. Yes, my brother, I have thought about Twitch. The problem is, and here's my issue, is because then, okay, Twitch has some advantages, but it also has the disadvantage that all my followers are on YouTube. And people that subscribe to me will find me on YouTube far more easily. Twitch is also good for being found if people are looking on Twitch, but I don't know. I'm currently thinking actually I'll just get... Whoa. If it gets to the point where the game is popular on Twitch, I may think about it, but I don't really want to start having like videos where half the chat is coming from Twitch and half is coming from YouTube. I mean, I'm also of the view that... Oh, Jesus, Jiminy frickin' cricket, go away. YouTube gaming is only going to pick up over time. Now, this being said, Doc Dewey is the first subscriber. I bet many people don't even realise that there is a subscribe feature on YouTube. the same as Twitch, you can get emotes, and by that I need to actually get some emotes so Dewey can start spamming. Absolutely. But YouTube has its downside, like the super chat. PayPal is not available to do super chats in a lot of areas. It's partly the gaming side, you see. It depends on the industry, because super chats for the majority of videos I watch are for YouTube creation stuff. And super chats are really popular in that. YouTube content providers give others super chats all the frickin' time. Absolutely, like, there is one guy that I watch and he makes $500 a frickin' stream because he's answering people's questions, and people will literally pay 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks just to have a question answered. And crazy. But the culture in gaming is not there. It's not there, and this isn't me complaining at all. This is just sort of statement of fact. It's just sort of how it is. It's not a bad thing. It's just it is what it is. But I do think eventually, with time, YouTube will change in terms of its gaming culture. And I'm not saying it will ever overtake Twitch, but I think it's going to catch up. I think it's going to catch up because, let's be honest, YouTube is owned by Google. They will do whatever they can for a piece of that pie. But there you go, that's my little waffle about stuff like that for today. Oh my, this is going to take some time, isn't it? Do I need to kill him? Yes, I do. Right, let's hug some cover and get some suppression back. We are not lowering his suppression at all, are we, right now? Let's do that. Yeah, get frozen. Kiss it. Apologize. Right. AoE actually killed him this time. Other spells and abilities and stuff and things. Right. Now we've got our heal. Our self-resurrect even. Pow. Pow. I think we should probably kill that because I think he is doing damage. Oh. Do that again. Oh, he didn't freeze. Oh, he did. It's all good. It's all good. Oh my god. This is a little bit tedious. And I'll tell you one of the other changes I'm really looking forward to. Really looking forward to, because it's something that is just not in the game at the moment. When you kill a goddamn big mob, you don't get any better loot than killing small mobs. Okay, yeah, you might get 2 green items, but good items in this game don't drop from big mobs. What the actual hell? That's being changed, obviously. They've said it's going to be changing in the final product, so when you kill a big mob, you're going to get big loot. And that is what ARPGs need, and they took ages to add it, but finally it's going to come, and that's going to be a nice feature. So looking forward to that. Right. What are we talking about in the chat, Osmo? A lot of people talking about the assassins. We are really getting in there today. La-da-dee. I'm just having a little catch up with chat. Don't you mind me, guys. You just carry on. You just carry on going. Assassins. I do like Imperial Assassins, I have to be honest. If I could be one, I'd go for Vindicare, let's be honest. I think most people just like the idea of using a massive 9-foot-long sniper. I don't know how long it is, but it looks like it's 9 foot long. I think that would probably be pretty damn popular. I mean, the shape-shifting one does sound kind of cool too, let's be fair. I think that's Calixus? Not entirely sure. One of them shape-shifting. Kind of cool. The anti-psyker one, meh. I don't think that's going to be a popular choice. But there's definitely some more items possible. And I'll tell you what I do remember from some time ago. The needle pistol was being worked on in terms of concept art. And I wonder what's happened to that. I really wonder what's happened to that. Is that going to be a godlike item? Is that going to be like a radical or a Puritan item? Is that going to be even just not added? Maybe it just wasn't very good, so they thought, nah, we'll bin that idea. Who knows? Who knows? But I was talking to the guy that does the weapon concept art, and he'd drawn up a few ideas. Combi weapons at the time were being added too, which is very, very interesting, because we've not seen anything regarding combi weapons. But a lot of people have complained in the forums that there aren't combi weapons. There will be, apparently. This is what we've been told, anywho. Excuse me, lady. Go away. Trying to do combat and things. Ugh. So, mental note, this build really needs something penetrating. Really, really needs something penetrating. There we go. We're dishing out the damage now. Las Cannon, my god, my god. Las Cannon to me is one of those weapons that always never really made a lot of sense on an Inquisitor, you know. I always think of an Inquisitor as a sword and pistol because it's sort of... it's one of those combos that just says or speaks of a level of authority. A Las Cannon? I mean, yeah, I know. You can say that a Las Cannon speaks of authority. Yeah, I get it, because, you know, it's big. Yeah. But it doesn't really fit the whole thing of being an Inquisitor to me. That being said, why not? I mean, the thing is with being an Inquisitor is you just use whatever the hell you want to use. Absolutely fine. I'm curious about the Power Fist because some time ago we were told by a developer that they tried doing a Power Fist and the animations just couldn't, they didn't get them to look very good. They sort of struggled. And I do wonder if it's secretly they've kept working on it or if they've just said, look, this is not something we can make look pretty. Yo, Roll Jaeger, how's it going? Like the work? Ah. Yes, end game stuff. End game stuff. Well, my friend, in terms of interview responses, I did ask the question about end game stuff. These gunshots are literally coming out of nowhere. It's really throwing me. I'm guessing other people are hearing that too. I'm assuming it's a bug. Wow, that's really freaking trippy. So the end game content, unfortunately, they mentioned what's going to be added to the game during the final release. Well, they hinted at some things anyway. Hang on a second while we just take this out. I am not putting up with a warp gate here. There we go. But they haven't actually told us what the endgame content is, and you guys will know I've been rambling about this for days now, but we actually have no idea what we're going to be doing for the majority of our time within this game. We know that there's going to be a form of endless mission feature, which is kind of like a suicide mission, where you're going to go down to a planet and you're going to have to do basically survive as long as you can. But we don't know what the end game is. We don't even know if that's end game. We don't know if that's just a random mission type. We just don't know. There is literally so much unknown about this. We know the leveling system's pretty damn fast now, but there is just a huge air of mystery in this game. Good lord, this is going to take some time, isn't it? Oh, let's slow time. Yeah, charge into that, you pecker. Lol. So yeah, we just don't know. Now, my expectations for Endgame, let's be honest. Endgame, they mentioned a battle zone feature. What does that mean? I have no idea. The way the game has been optimised now, I used to think it would be impossible to have more than 4 Inquisitors on the screen at once. I'm now actually thinking that, heck, that's probably not too hard to do. I would like to see some... Now, I'm not thinking like a World of Warcraft battle zone. Hell no. I would like to see something on a larger scale. I'd like to see something on a larger scale than this. Because Endgame, you know, it's all about being big, being grand, being interesting. That would be interesting to me. Having, let's say, a map twice the size of this, not quite so bloody sort of corridor based, having lots of mini objectives to do on there that maybe sway the tide of a battle, and maybe, you know, you're part of a 4-man squad and you can choose what objectives you're doing. And I have no bloody idea what they're doing for endgame content, mate. I have no idea at all. That's the truth. We just don't know. What is up, Fowler, mate? Haven't seen you in here before. We've got some Irish in here. What is up? I don't actually have my assassin very well leveled yet. Ah, no, you're offering to join me. Yeah, I could certainly bring you in, my friend, although I have to say, having been streaming for an hour and a half now, I'm probably going to be wrapping things up after a little bit of a ramble after this, but definitely I want to be doing a bit of a synergy video, and you are definitely one of the top on the list for that, because an anti-suppression build is basically perfect synergy for this. As you can see, I have real issues bringing suppression down. This build really excels at cooperative play, but it's not particularly great for single player, or rather it could be a lot better. Could be a lot better. In terms of other endgame content, we just don't know. We just don't know, and that's the problem. It could be anything. And we know that there's features that they've not given us any information on yet, because they keep saying, oh, there's going to be stuff in the endgame. Some secret stuff, you know. I can't remember exactly how they phrased it, but they've said that there's going to be some surprises. And I've tried asking, you know, can I have any information, even if it's under NDA, I won't tell anyone. And there's nothing. Nothing that they can say anyway. So that's kind of sad, because I like knowing things. But the reality is, there is so much of this game that's in the dark right now. So much. Combi weapons, don't even know if they're coming. I mean, to list through, and I'm going to do a video on this, of stuff we don't know. We don't know what the retinue system is. We don't have a freaking clue what the retinue system is or how it works. We don't really know what the other mission types are going to be and what type of styles of mission will be in the game. Obviously, we can make a guess that they're going to be some similar to this. 50 mission types, we have no idea what they're going to be. More importantly, we don't know what the specific events will be like within the season system. We don't know what sort of stuff will be added, or if new skins will be added within... I guess we do know a little bit of that. That's kind of fair. We do kind of know what's happening in seasons. But the end game content is the main thing we don't know. And that's going to be the main actual sort of sticking point of the game, you know. Like, we're going to be doing end game content for 2.5 months. Assuming you don't get bored of the game. So the new content's going to come out every 3 to 4 months. The leveling process takes 15 to 20 hours, give or take a little bit. Now, is there a warp gate? There's a bloody warp gate up there. Okay, he's going to smush them for me at least. Lol. You got frozen in time, mate. What are you going to do? Right, we need to get behind him, so here's the plan. We're going to lure him out. Come to me. Come to me. Okay, this is my plan not quite working right now. We can smush this guy. There we go. Right, we're going to freeze these. No, I can't even get through. Oh my god, this is going to be a very painful episode of let's slowly try and wade through these mobs, and if I were an assassin I would just roll through them all. Life would be so much easier. Probably one thing the assassin can do very well, and the Psyker does have some good mobility too. Let's not pretend the Psyker doesn't have mobility, but the assassin's mobility is being able to dodge through enemies is pretty goddamn good. Right. Smush those. Heal myself, heal, and finally kill that. Right, oh my god, that's a freaking turret. Get out, get out, get out. That hurts so bad. Ugh. That's okay, that's only 1 life lost. God damn, they hurt. I think, Fowler, my friend, I'm probably not going to stomach another mission after this. I will probably start thinking about heading to bed, but this mission's going to be another 5 minutes at least, and then we're going to have a little ramble about the game. But next time, my friend, for sure. By the way, if anyone's looking for other people to play with in here, feel free to use this as a means to socialise, you know. It's nice bringing people together, especially in 40k. In the grim dark future, there is only friendships, and friendship is heresy. Right, now can we... Oh, good lord. Oh, good lord. Okay. What we're going to have to do is wait for this to come off a cooldown and go smush that in one hit, because that's going to hurt a lot otherwise. Right, let's go kill that. Oh, we didn't kill it. Let's swap weapon. Let's turn on that. Let's swap back. We're going to get him. We're going to get him. It's just going to take a little bit of... It's going to take a while. It's going to take a bit of patience. It's going to take a bit of burning damage. There we go. Let's get some freaking health back. Oh, my word, but do you blend? Right, here we go, here we go, here we go. We're rushing, we're rushing. We're going to smush this first. Beautiful, beautiful. Stressful, but beautiful. How are you summoning more? You've already summoned loads. dapping. I think we're going to do a little bit of a time stop, buy ourselves some space here. Smush those. The Nurglings actually hit quite hard, you know. Let's use the cover system, the useless cover system. Uh-oh. That's an exploding thing right there. Now, I do have the means to heal myself, but I also have one of these that should have healed me but didn't. That's very disappointing. That didn't heal me either. Oh, this is not a good day to be an Inquisitor. Oh, good lord. I'm trying to reset the cooldown of my number 3 ability. So that way I get another life. Oh god, not again, not again. I've had too much of this. Okay. Is that taking damage for me? Good, good. Okay. How long have we got? 10 seconds or so? Right, there we go. Got another life, got some health. Strategic combat at its best. And he loses his health straight away. And burns to death slowly. Oh, this is a little bit too tense for my liking. Go away. Right. Right, we can just nuke him now, surely. Nope, nope, that's not nuking. That's not nuking. Get some health back, please. Anyone else feeling the tension right now? Oh, he's so nearly dead. My life. Oh my god. That was stressful. Jeez. Sorry, I'd stopped talking there for a while, but man, that was butt clenching. Oh my word. And ladies and gentlemen, that is why you need some penetration. 13 fate though, not too bad, but a real freaking headache. So, have estimated release date, Mr. Wolf. Estimated release date. Could be a lucky son of a bitch. That was nothing but skill and strategy right there. Estimated release date is Q1 still. So all I can say is that there is going to be a patch within March, and that's what they've said. There's going to be a content drop within March, and the game will be releasing in Q1. So we can only infer that there will be a milestone at the beginning of March, and then the game will release at the end of March. I mean, it is Neocore, and every patch they've done has been released at sort of midnight. So let's be honest, the last day of March is probably the likely release date. I think that's pretty much a given. We'll have to wait and see though, because the reality is we don't know. It's again another one of the unknowns. However, I'm fairly sure that they have already committed to a release date. It's not that far away. These things don't just happen sort of willy-nilly on Steam. You plan release dates in accordance with when other games are being released. Stuff like this is, you know, they probably know. They probably know, they're just not telling us now. Let's get a little bit more health, I think. I'll tell you what is quite useful. Damage reduction by armor increased by 20%. I do quite like that one, but we're going to work up towards... Yeah, I don't even know. Per warp heat point lost? Is that per discharge through your staff? I don't even know. Guys and girls, the stream has been fun. Are there any other questions? We're just going to wrap up for a minute or two and have a little talk and chat and see if anything else has come up. I tell you what, my heart is still slowly just sort of calming back down. Hamster, you have... Look, let me tell you about this build, my friend. Let me tell you about this build. This build is for real. This build is where it's at. We've got 50% warp damage to AoE area effects. Absolutely awesome, because we have a few AoE warp damage based abilities. Really like them. Now, what else do we have? We've gone for movement. Now, this is mandatory. 10% faster cooldowns on Psyker skills when force weapons are used. This is amazing. This is quite simply amazing. The reason I can cast abilities so quickly is purely because of this. This is, without a doubt, one of the best abilities a Psyker can get, provided you have the means of spamming your attack. If you're suffering from long cooldowns, you need this. If there are some builds that don't suffer from cooldown issues, that is a different matter. Hit points, look, let's be honest, you die if you don't have enough hit points, and having look how often I nearly died. More hit points the better. Field surgery is without a doubt the best points you can spend within the game. Hands down, best. Are we going to play as Grey Knights? Yes, my friend, we are going to play as Grey Knights in our dreams. Vulnerability stacking I do on the lightning, or I used to do on the lightning, I believe I changed it, and suppression damage. I tried, I can actually get rid of this because I'm no longer using it because it's absolutely poo. Critical hit mastery, 10% extra critical hit as a passive is incredibly good. I've got that on the lightning at the moment, it's kind of handy. Combine that with, and this is what I'm going for, if you're doing an easy mission with this build, it's incredibly valuable this, because if you kill an enemy with critical hit, and now let's be honest, critical hit, not too hard to get. I've got a percent of about, I think 20% crit at the moment. Depends, because I've swapped my gear around a little bit. Critical hit chance, ooh, it's lower than it should be. It might be because I swapped a couple of gear bits. It was hovering around 20. If the plus 10% was working with skills, it would be more like 30. But if you kill 3 enemies with an AoE hemorrhage, you've got 30% more damage now for 10 seconds, which really helps sort of propel you through the map. And it builds up really, really quickly. I really like the crit bonuses, to be fair. The amount of damage you can do with them is very, very good. Helps a little bit with the extra suppression damage. It's not very noticeable. That is one I should probably go for, but I'm also trying to manage my heat a little bit better these days. Every crit heals for 1% max health is really underwhelming, to be honest. Right. Game like Space Marine or Devil May Cry as a Grey Knight. That would be pretty cool. I'm with you there. I'm really, really liking you there. Do I have an elevator pitch ready to sway you into pre-ordering this? That is a tough one. I mean, I've got my guide within the guide section of Steam, should you buy the alpha. It's a tough one though. It really is a tough one. But, Sir Wolf, will there be any bonuses to buying this game now? No. There will be no incentive whatsoever for buying this game early other than contributing to feedback, which will be one of them. And the other one will be contributing to feedback. That's about it. It's basically, if you want to join to help out, you can do. But you're not going to get anything for it. There's a completely clear wipe coming when the game launches. Completely 100%, everyone's going to start from the same spot. The only thing we'll have in advantage is sort of knowledge of the game, but you could all get that from watching me anyway, so there you go. There you go. Yeah, of course, Hamster, raising funds I think is obviously something, because let's be honest, they will have made some money from this. So yeah, that's pretty fair. Fancy goodies if you're willing to pay money. Yes, absolutely, some fancy goodies. On that note, I'm still waiting for mine. I should be doing a review of them when they actually arrive, but Jesus Christ, God knows when. But I'll tell you what, if there's one thing we should take away from today, it's the fact that I think that the Stormwatchers, if we zoom in down here, I would love these guys to get a little book. And the best thing is you can push them around. Come here, you scratum. Oh, the lolly. You fight like a Norwegian, you fairy. But anyway, aside from being incredibly light and easy to push around, I'd quite like to know a little bit more about this faction. What they do, what they're here for. Wow, he's just squared up to me. You want some, mate? You want to fight about it? You're looking at me funny, mate. Anyway, you can tell it's getting a little bit late. Guys and girls, I hope you've had a great day. I hope you have a nice week. I'm going to be doing more stuff this week, going to be doing some more content. I'm hoping that the roadmap comes out soon so we can do some content about that, talking about it. If not, you can probably expect a video from me based on all the things we don't know about Inquisitor Martyr right now, the major questions that are just buzzing around, the major gaps in knowledge that we have. And I'll see you guys soon, okay? Hope you've enjoyed the interview. Remember, there will be a face-to-face one coming soon. And I'll see you guys next time.